I cannot tell you, listeners, how much I've been looking forward to this show. They have a whole host of championship experience between them, and we are looking forward to digging a little bit beneath the surface. It is a Connolly's Red Mill special. We have Sam Watson with us, but more excitingly than anything, Sparkles is back. Sparks, it is very good to have you.
Thanks, Nicole. It's great to be here.
Sam, is this like an insight into your married life that everybody's very pleased to see you, but when Sparks comes, we all get much more excited?
You're about to take us through 10 championships. I mean, this could be a therapy session. It won't be marriage counseling. I mean, it could be a therapy session because Sparks has probably buried half of the stresses and the traumas. She went to Olympic Games with Pippa Funnell, and then she had to go to 10 championships with Sam Watson. I mean, the poor girl. But no, look, they're great fun. On a serious note, it is. It's great. I was thinking about this before, like just a few minutes before coming on. It's lovely. And for us as a couple, like there's not many couples that could say they've been to 10 championships together, like an Olympic Games, 4 World Championships, 5 Europeans. And we love it, we get on well. And I think we get on exceptionally well as a married couple. And that's really down to Sparks and her temperament to put up with me. I mean, it's incredible.
I'll be honest though, there's not many couples that could say they've been to 1 championship together, let alone 10. I feel like this is really setting the scene for actually just how extraordinary this partnership is. Sparks, is Sam different in the build up to a championship? Is the dynamic different?
To be fair to him, actually, no, he's very good and relaxed and his usual analytical self. But no, he wouldn't get nervous or start changing everything, or no, we'd just tick along as we usually do, but maybe a bit more excitement. Maybe it is exciting. I think it's like going on holiday, really. it's like oh, where are we going to go next? And yeah, but he doesn't change at all. No, to be fair, he's very level-headed. Yeah.
Take us back then to your first championship before we dive into kind of your championship stories together. 2004, Athens for Pippa Funnell. Is that right? I mean, that's a hell of a championship debut.
Was that my first championship? No.
Was that not? That wasn't? Oh, no. Sam said that was your first one. When was your first one then? Take us back.
Oh God, it must have been. Oh God, I can't remember. Punchestown?
2009. Is that
2001? I'd say, because Blenheim was 05 or 03?
Blenheim was 05. Blenheim was 05.
I did Blenheim. Did Blenheim with
so
Pip.
Punchestown was 03.
It's Punchestown 03. Yeah, with Dag. Dag
so
Albert.
Basically, Sam, you absolutely hit the wife/championship groom jackpot, because by the time you and Sparks went to your first championship together, I think your first championship together, 2010?
Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
Yeah.
For the World Games. Sparks, you had a whole host of experience. From those earlier championships with Pippa, what stands out for you? Was there a highlight?
Oh, I mean, Athens was unbelievable. Yeah, it was so surreal at the time. You were going with Pippa Funnell, who had just won the Grand Slam, and Primrose Pride was just this absolute legend of a horse. And I was this tiny little person being dragged around by him. And I remember watching the dressage, and I remember when she got 3 10s for her medium trot across the diagonal, and all the crowds just gasped, and you didn't know if she'd gone wrong and then the marks came up. It's just those that really stands out for me. It was an amazing trip. I was so lucky.
Athens was quite a pivotal Olympic Games because it was the first Olympic Games that was
short format.
Yeah, so that all changed. And it feels like actually it was quite a catalyst for change, Athens. There was a huge amount of discussion about the heat and everything in the build up to Athens as well. There's actually going to be, listeners, a special Athens documentary show. Sparks, if I ask you on this show, if you'll come back and talk to us about Athens in more detail. You can't really say no. Sam was like, oh, good luck getting her for 2 pods in a couple of months. Will you do it?
Oh, I'd have to think back. It's a long time ago now. I've done a lot since.
We will try and twist your arm, because it was such a monumental kind of change. That individual bronze medal that Pippa ended up with. What was that like? Because there had been a real pressure cooker feeling going into Athens.
Yeah, it was quite tough. There was just so much pressure on her. There was just so much pressure on her going into that Olympics. And I mean, she is unbelievable. She is incredible how she handles the pressure. And it just really was something quite special to be in that arena holding her horse when she was receiving her medal. It was very special.
Does the pressure translate to the teams behind the riders as well at this point?
I suppose it just depends on your relationship in the beginning and how the rider copes with pressure. Like Pippa was she was pretty good. I mean, I think at that time, I shouldn't say this, I think she did smoke a bit at that time. I can't remember, or had she given up? No, I think she did. And I just remember thinking, oh, everything I had to have. And then it was a packet of cigarettes and a lighter, and a spare. Yeah, just things like that. But she's so focused and professional, and she's just incredible to work with. And although when I went to Athens, I hadn't been with her very long, so it was tough on her having me, a new person, come in, and this was a huge thing for her. Being the favorite and having this amazing horse, and then just having this new girl arrive, and having to trust me, which was a huge thing for her.
What is that like? Because you guys now, obviously, you've been together for 14 plus, no, longer than that. 15 years? 15 years. Yeah. So I mean, you guys know each other so well. You live together, you work together. Life is so entwined that you kind of can finish each other's sentences and everything like that. How much of a difference does that make, that sort of athlete groom partnership, to actually going back to the beginning of your kind of working together relationship?
Oh, it's huge for me because there's so much I don't have to worry about. And I certainly couldn't do EquiRatings and stuff like that at home. So but even at the championship, you can unwind. I mean, in Pretoni, which was one of the more recent ones, our most recent championship together, actually, I mean, I was running off up a hill and taking pictures and like calling her on WhatsApp, being, oh, look, I'm up on a hill. And she was like, yeah, I'm just lunging. But, actually, until you kind of say that to me now, like it was the same in Tokyo and stuff like that. But the peace of mind that I guess I hadn't even thought about it. I guess a lot of riders wouldn't have that. They are trying to manage a lot of the time. They might have a new relationship going on. I just have, and I mean, it's complete trust, and again, I wouldn't even use that word. It's only trying to dissect it now and think about it now. That's just I mean, there's so many worries that I don't have, and so much skill to, like there's things Sparks does, and like it's not just dedication, it's not just trust, it's just knowledge and skill, and the difference in terms of getting a horse like Tullabeg Flamenco to an Olympic Games in Tokyo, a horse who needs all the energy and all the fuel, but still you have to be, so he'd be on like high energy feeds and stuff like that to perform at his best. But with the travel and with the heat, you've got to kind of cut down some of that energy, keep up electrolytes, fluids, like her knowledge to look after these horses in these different environments. And then a horse like Talisman, who, you know, you just have to show him a grain of food and he's like, he's off, you know. So he's on like much lower stuff. And actually, like, Sparks reads the horses really well. So I'd be, you know, like sometimes I'm like with the food, with the, like, Talisman's a good example because he's on this comfort mash all the time, which is essentially like a mash. And you wouldn't intuitively think like a high performance athlete being on a mash. But again, it has all his vitamins, minerals, and all that kind of stuff. And it's perfect for him because it keeps his brain right. He's naturally a very well muscled horse and everything like that. But these are things that we consult on, and that's it. Like, I kind of ask the question, and then and we can consult. But knowledge, trust. I mean, I start to feel bad now about, Spice, you can't watch me. You know, she's probably watching Pippa get 310s. I mean, I get 310s all the time at home, but I myself, the judges don't give me 310s. But I think the nerves, like, I think that'll be an interesting one to dissect and unpack in this. Whether that's got worse, I feel like that might have got worse. But to be honest, the overriding thing, and it's for me now, late 30s, thinking about how long I'm going to keep competing for, the hardest thing to give up will be the championships with Sparks, the trips away, the two of us, because we've done it so many times. Like, we've had so much fun, and we always enjoy it so much. There is never tension. Like, there's just never ever conflict or tension or anything like that. We laugh through any, and I mean, we've had there's, like, this sport is tough. So there's tough moments in terms of performance, like kicking show jumps all over the place at World Championships. There's like, are we going to get theirs? You know, like the injuries and the things that creep up, and you think, oh my God, this could be championship over, or this is championship over. You know, there's championships we didn't get to. We've only been to 1 Olympic Games in all that time. We've been to 4 Worlds. So there's those moments. And I've been rushed off to hospital with, like, putting tractor machinery through my finger before Malmo, breaking my collarbone, and being in surgery before the Worlds in 2018, when we knew we had the best chance ever. And we might not get a chance to go and try and win that medal, let alone being able to pull it off. Sparks has had to ride the horses on so many occasions, like Bushman before Malmo and Arda Highlight Bend before the Worlds in Tryon. And it's such fun. Like, all of those kind of weird, tough moments, we're always in it together, and like, probably have quite strange, like, laughs and giggles about the whole thing as well. Even when you think the last thing those two should be doing is laughing about it, but we just do. It's good fun.
That feels incredibly special, though, because actually that's something that you can't really recreate. You couldn't make that's a very kind of special set of different circumstances and skills coming together, and a partnership that works so well. Sparks, how do your nerves hold up? Because I mean, Sam doesn't, like, I mean, the tractor machinery, the falls, all of those things, adding into the mix of the fact that you're getting a horse championship fit and ready, that's a lot going on. And the boys, 2 boys.
And the kids, the kids, because what was it? Just before Malmo, I had one.
Yeah, so.
And then
Archie was born in 2013. So that was Malmo. So before the Malmo Europeans in 2013.
Which would have been like August time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, around then.
So July I had.
So Archie was born on the 19th of July. We're heading off to a championship, and, like, sure, we put poor Sparks on a train. She doesn't like, her only weakness is just, like,
travel,
just getting herself from A to B. Like, her sense of direction.
Hopeless.
Her sense of direction is not great.
So I was on a plane, a train, a taxi. It took me days to get there.
But only because we had a kid that was a few weeks old, like our first child, a few weeks old. I sort of, I was trying to aerovate my grass gallop, and I put one of the spikes through my finger. So I had to go off to A&E, and that was about a week before, was it?
10 days, a week, 10 days.
Yeah, it was quite close. So then Sparks was riding the horse, trying to look after the newborn child, trying to pack this horse's belongings for it to go off to a European championship. She really is Wonder Woman, to be honest, when you think about it. So yeah, that was good fun. It all, like, Our first one in 2010, we arrived, and honestly, one of the first nights. Oh no, we had a pretty wild week in quarantine. I won't go into that. There was all sorts going on. You can imagine, like, the Irish team in Kentucky a week before a championship with a week to acclimatize. Like, there's a pub in McCarthy's. There's a pub called McCarthy's in Lexington that we just lived in for a while, but we were younger then. But then when the horses moved into the horse park on I think it was the first night, we were out for supper, and Jessie Foster, good friends of ours, rings us, and she was grooming for Elizabeth Power, and she said, "Guys, you're gonna have to come back, and you're gonna have to bring Marcus with you, because George, who's Bushman,
It's been stung by a wasp.
yeah, he's swelling up pretty badly. He's having a bad allergic reaction." And that's the start of it. So you go in, and your horse literally looks like the Elephant Man. Marcus was not polite. He was like, "I didn't think this horse getting any uglier." We broke our homebred out in America. We thought he was the best. But that's the start of, like, dealing with those kind of things. And then we had the highs. Freddie Alberg was amazing, got us off to a great start in the dressage. Like, I think we were lying, like, well inside the top 20 anyway after a good cross country round going into the final day, and then I kicked all 4 fences down, and it was really disappointing. And that's the roller coaster, and unfortunately, when you have to groom for Sam, that happens, So there was a great World Championships 8 years later, but there was a lot. I kind of touched on them, but that's kind of the roller coaster of eventing, and it's great to go. It's just great to do all that with Sparks. I couldn't imagine not doing that with having your best friend and your wife and the mother of your children, all that kind of stuff. It's great. It's good fun, and it's great to have all that.
Sparks, how do you find it? Because obviously most grooms send their horses off, and obviously they want their rider to come back safe and sound as well as their horse. But it's slightly different sending your husband off on your horse who you look after. How do you find that, and has it changed over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I love the beginning, and I always have so much to do that I can keep myself occupied. And I'm fine literally up until the moment he starts cross country, and then I do struggle, and I do think it's got worse. It's just so tough seeing one of the horses that you absolutely adore, but also your husband, and it's heart in your mouth moment for however many minutes that they are out there. It is terrifying. Yeah, it's terrifying. I know.
At least I've completed.
I know you are amazing, and it's great because everybody knows now, but they all try and give me a thumbs up, or they come and find me to let me know how he's going around the course, and everybody looks after me.
She's describing how I feel going up the centre line in the dressage test.
Do you not watch?
No, I used to watch.
When did you stop?
Oh God.
See, I don't see this.
Probably, I can't even remember watching in Kentucky, because it's often quite difficult to actually get a good spot to watch. And so then I was just like, oh, do you know what? I'm just gonna take a deep breath and just walk about a bit outside. And I watched the first fence and the last fence.
You don't watch it on a big screen?
No.
Would you watch it back afterwards?
Oh God! Hundreds of times.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've watched Podge go around Burley so many times, and I know that was a championship, or Revanche in the Worlds. Yeah, I do. I watch it back.
So take us back then, your first championships together. You actually, so Sam, you had your senior championship call up in 2009, which was Fontainebleau.
And we were dating, but I
you
didn't.
were there. So
we were going out. That sounds so. We were dating. We were courting.
You were courting at the time.
But I
was working for Pippa still. So,
she was still working for Pippa. I couldn't really steal her away. It was kind of awkward, really.
Did you go around trying to get some help while you were in Fontainebleau? Or were
No,
you
well, Alex Von Til was helping me that season.
okay?
So she looked after George for me.
And Sam just found the odd fictional thing that he needed to go and borrow or something.
Yeah, but no, and yeah. So then Kentucky was our first one, and like that was it's cool because you're like outside of it, it's the living together. Like we were renting yards in the UK, like loads of different yards, and that was our first. Like that had been a full season living together. Sparks came over to Ireland at the beginning of that year, helped with the big migration over, which was always like 2 lorries going over. You move the whole yard over and stuff like that. And like we were in loads of different yards together, all around the UK that phase of our lives. Well, we came back in 2012. At the end of 2012, we got married. So there have been 3 full seasons together: 2010, 11, and 12. But yeah, that Kentucky one was the first one.
Before we go on to sort of how the championships have differed and kind of the management and the build up to them, because I think that's really important. Do I hear there's a story about Jeff Curran in Kentucky you should share?
Well, I mean, that's a completely off the record one. As I said, there was that mad week. There's nudity involved. I can't name and shame. What goes on tour stays on tour. Yeah.
Poor Jeff.
Sparks was so polite. She was trying to wait. She was like, "Oh, Jeff's on the loo." I was like, "Well, just wait until he's finished." And then she's like, "No, I think he's asleep." I was like, "Well, wake him up." She's like, "Can you wake him up?" I was like, "Well, why can't you wake him up?" Because he's naked. So and
there was only one bathroom in this flat, and Jeff was asleep on the loo, and the only one.
Mike Ryan wasn't going to do it. So none of us
not the short straw. Okay, let's talk build up to some of the different championships, because we kind of touched upon Athens being very, very hot, going back to the early 2000s, but some of the championships you guys have been to together, that we had the very, very wet year of preparation in 2014 before Cannes. Tokyo, all of the conversation was around the heat and the management of the horses. Tryon, the big hill, and the challenge of getting horses fit. So how much of your preparation is tailored to the conditions that you were about to face, Sparks? How much do you bring into the horses' routine to try and acclimatize them before you go?
It really depends on the horse a lot, to be fair. As Sam said, Podge would cope in any conditions, heat, mud. I don't think anything would really slow him down, and we would always have Sam is incredible at getting the horses fit, so our horses would always be fit. It would never be a case of, oh, this is going to be good ground. Not really, we won't get our horses that fit, or this is going to be muddy, they're going to need to be really fit. I think we take whatever horse we have and we give them the fitness that we would for whatever championship level it is. Obviously, Flamenco would probably need more galloping than Podge would need. And yeah.
And it's like, I think with him, you've got like Arda Highlight, who'd have been quite like Talisman mentality wise,
but blood wise,
but he wouldn't like, he'd be a fussier eater. So like you got to be careful. He could run up quite light quite quickly, whereas Podge's Talisman is called Podge for a reason, that he carries weight. So Talisman is an easier one to look after, and actually it's actually about more managing temperament and stuff like that. But those long journeys, like traveling a horse for it's a 4-day road trip from Ireland to Italy when you're going by road. I think the British team and the Canadians flew from England down to Italy. Like we had to come from Ireland, so we had the longest journey of anyone by road, and that actually is harder than flying them. So that Bertoni journey
takes more out of them.
Yeah, it was probably the toughest journey, over any other horse. But you run them with Flamenco. I would say his journey to Lemulin was a lot tougher than the journey to Tokyo, again, because you don't have like those air-conditioned planes, you don't have, you know, companies like Pedans looking after, you know, and stuff like that. It's the road trip, and Europe is hot. And when you have a horse really, really fit, it's a little bit like the athletes as well. They're actually
more susceptible.
Yeah, they are more susceptible. So like airflow and everything like that, you know, is and Sparks will, like, the hardest thing for Sparks is, like, I'm going away to Sweden and for a few days now, and it's like, we send Podge away to the water treadmill. I'm like, it's really traumatizing for Sparks not to be with our horse for 4 days, just to send him off. So like that, it's more she'll know that, like, water consumption, because you can't measure, you're in it, you've just got to have your eye on the horse the whole time, know how much they're drinking,
taking their temperatures. Yeah. It's just
knowing
what's normal for them.
So how would you manage that travel? What would you do differently? And I mean, 4 days on a road trip, I take it you can actually go with them for those 4 days on the road trip, whereas you put them on a plane and kind of wave them goodbye.
Yeah, it just depends. Sometimes you can go with them, and other times you don't get the chance to go with them. So, but you trust the people that do go. But you have what feeds you want to send them with, or what hay you want to send them with, or the electrolytes that you want given to them, or the GastroGuard. You basically sort of go through each day and what you want them to have for that journey, to keep them in the best order, to get them there in one piece.
Would you introduce anything different as part of that travel plan, or is it very much what works?
I stick to what works, or what I know works for that horse. Some horses are different, but you need them to drink. That's the most important thing. They have to drink on their trip.
The one, like, supplement wise, we'd often go on to like NutriGuard and stuff like that. Sparks mentioned GastroGuard there, which is the real to look after gut and that kind of stuff, and that's kind of the most powerful dose you can give them. But getting them onto a supplement like NutriGuard like a month beforehand, even again when they're starting to get quite fit, and then
when they're out there,
and that comfort mash has been, because so even before we had these kind of mash products that you can make really sloppy, basically, so it's a really wet feed, because that's a great way of hydrating them and getting all the minerals. So I think what people forget with hydration is it's the minerals they lose from sweating is the problem. So like that's why you'd have things like refuel.
The refuel is invaluable because it's in a syringe and it's so easy to give to the horses, and it's amazing. Like that's the lifesaver on the long trips, because there's one that you can put in their feed, but if they don't always eat that much feed, the syringes are absolute. That's been a game changer, I feel.
How aware are you of contamination and prohibited substances and all that sort of thing? Because obviously you want to make sure that you are totally and utterly clean, and that there's never any kind of unintentional mix of anything that shouldn't be mixed. So how careful do you have to be? Is it just now second nature, or is there much more to it than that in terms of the products that you're giving your horses as well?
I think you trust
Forans and red mills.
Yeah,
they're incredible. I mean, because that's what we use. So you have to put your faith, and quite rightly so, in the products that they make, and that they are tested to such a high standard that they are. It's clean for everything's clean.
But that's why it is part of the reason why you do go on those. Well, like for us, that we trust a company like that, because they have a whole lab, like they're testing, like it's incredible the science behind it, and well, the effort that goes into that, but because they're Cheltenham winners and Breeders' Cup winners and stuff like that, so you're in that. But then I think, Sparks, your preparation and stuff like that, we don't for those trips aboard, particularly the journeys and everything like that, you make up your feeds and then you get those into into bags,
sealed bags,
and it's all sealed and stuff like that. Like you try not to have open feed bags lying around the place. Again, it's just the risk of what can fall into those and stuff like that. And it's much more, like your main priority is health. It's healthy food. Like it's the same as, you want the quality of the food. You don't want to go and stale on like journeys, being exposed to the heat and stuff like that. So you're just looking after it that way. But it is an area that you keeps advancing all the time, because it's the same as the humans. Like we understand, like I think the other side of it, where Sparks is phenomenal, is the routine, because our horses live out all the time. And so like the amount of time they spend grazing with Sparks, and again, it's less from a nutrition point of view and more from a routine point of view, I think, and keeping them relaxed. But that's a huge part of it as well, that dedication. So you're trying, and it's all part of, I think, reading them and knowing them and being able to then react, going like, are they, and finding other ways, because sometimes if they're, they can get wound up in different environments and different places and stuff like that. But they really, I think every time you take a horse to a championship, there's an incredible bond that happens. And this sounds cliche because we always talk about the bond between, or whatever, but it really is, because if you fly a horse across the world to Tokyo or somewhere like that, or Kentucky or whatever, or even if you just drive to Italy with your horse, is a long way. But you take them in, like, it's such a strange environment and strange experience for them in a way, but their comfort is the human. That is the human that gets up and feeds them at 5 o'clock every morning. That is 100% Sparks. That is not me. They just so latch on. In fact, Talisman at Podjas, Avanche, the Europeans, that was the championships that we never thought was going to happen. I never thought he would be going. So we were in Aachen, and then we got very late call up to go to the Europeans the next week. So we did that. But he would win. He'd see Sparks still in the lorry park, and still about 100 meters away from the stables, and you'd hear him. He would be calling to her.
I hear my voice.
Yeah, we talk, and seeing this little mad psychotic face looking out the stable door.
Wanting food.
Well, yeah, mainly wanting food. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, that's the cutest thing ever." No. It was cute, but he just wanted feeding mainly.
Just wants food.
What is it like, Sparks, from your perspective? You've been to different championships with different horses that all sound like they're very, very different characters. So how do you find what works for them? And give us an insight into actually what a championship looks like for you, because it's pretty intense. You've got one horse, but they have your sole attention for the week.
Yeah, well, because I genuinely, and I'm so lucky, I get to look after the horses every single day. So I know them inside out. So I know, I keep their routine the same at home, and I try and keep it the same when we're away. So so it's not like I'm having to learn a new horse's routine, or learn what he likes or what he doesn't like. I know them inside out before they even get there. So I sort of know in my mind how he probably will react to a certain situation before it's happened. So in that sense, actually, it's quite easy for me, because we're just in a different stable and in a different field. But he's, even though they're relaxed at home, their nature, and it's nice to keep that familiarity for them, to keep it all the same for them, so that they don't get too upset about things.
Accommodation, groom's accommodation. I feel like there could be a whole selection.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm going to say I'm a little bit embarrassed, because a lot of the time I'm very lucky and I get to stay with my husband, and I don't know if I should say this or not. So yeah, but obviously in Tokyo I wasn't allowed to, but the groom's accommodation was incredible there. The bedrooms were amazing, the showers, the air conditioning, so close to the stables. washing
we
machines.
can talk about Normandy
That was-
2014.
What was that? Where was that? Oh, the pod. No.
Yeah, the pods.
Were they the pods? Yeah,
Yeah.
you had these but that was the riders, wasn't it? Or was it?
We were all on site. I don't know.
That was
Maybe,
very
maybe-
wet. Very, very,
Very
very,
wet.
very wet.
They were like portaloos.
Yeah, they were
really.
like tiny little cabins.
Mm.
Yeah.
But they were grand.
Yeah.
They were grand. You kind of sure, like, we're event riders. We wouldn't be too
Yeah.
fussy.
And then where is it? Somewhere Kentucky, it was a caravan.
Okay.
A mobile home.
Yeah.
It was, but I was in
For
the
sure,
hotel.
we live in a truck after that. I
Yeah.
mean,
Or in your lorry.
I courted her in the little blue.
Blue lorry,
the little
yeah.
blue lorry that went to France. I mean, that was quite. I mean, I started the bar quite low in terms of accommodation. And yeah, there's been a few championships then where we've gone in our own truck, like the most of the Europeans, Blair and even Lemoulin, one of the Lemoulins. Done 2 Lemoulins, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not too. No, it's not, I mean, sometimes it leaves a lot to be desired, but
I have to drive so I can get her in first thing. Good for me to go up in the morning, and then
yes, you see, Sam has the car, so
Okay.
get
Okay.
up early.
and then I have to go and walk because I'll drive her in, and then be like, do you want me to muck out? And I'll do it wrong. So I just go and walk the course and do something like that.
Do something useful.
Yeah.
Stay away. Tryon 2018. Like, it feels like sort of that magic championships. The team silver, everything for Team Ireland kind of came together. But we've already touched upon it. The championships almost didn't happen for you because you broke a collarbone. Did you break a collarbone?
Yeah, collarbone.
Literally weeks before the event.
Yeah. And
how does that affect the build up to a big event such as that?
Well, so Sparks comes rider number 1. So that's the first thing. So she does all the flap, so she has to ride the horse for a while, and like fitness, bit of grid work, bit of jumping. I don't think it's ever a bad thing. Like I think there's a lot of performance normally left behind from overdoing things. So I think it suits the horse. To be honest, I do think we tend to overdo things. I ended up running in it was we'd been 6th in Lemoulin in the 5-star earlier that season, and I think we'd won a 4-star short at some point as well. So we had good form, but so then I only did a 3-star as a run. I kind of had to prove that I was fit, so I had to go around like this. The only time I was kind of in pain was going around Mill Street. And then look, smiling at Sally going through the. I was so sore. Smiling. 100%. Lifting up, trying to give her a thumbs up, being like, "Oh my god, I need ice." So look, that was the prep, and it doesn't go. But to be honest, it's so much better when it's me, and it's not horses pulling a shoe off or doing something like that. Getting it. I actually. Like flamenco in Tokyo, I cross country schooled him. He could sometimes jump into water a bit green, like in his first jump into water can sometimes be a bit kind of, just have a little look. He's never going to stop, but just that little prop in momentum. And I walked the course, and first water, big jump into water, straight up to a part B, and I was like, he needs to jump in committed to do this combination. So I was like, I'm going to school him through the water, and it was terrible. False edges, it was just basically water filled up on with grass underneath. Like it wasn't probably done. So he twisted his fetlock a bit, and so that gave us a bit of a scare. And you kind of have to manage that, and so that's really because I know I'm like yeah, I'll be grand. With the horses, it's much different. So that's kind of scary, and that is, again, it comes down to Sparks kind of doing the icing and the care and the management like that. Incredible dedication to do that. Like the thing I'm probably proudest of as a duo, because it reflects a little bit my cross country and it reflects a lot her management, But since we've been together, we have completed every 4 long and 5 long that we've done. And the 4-star long and the 5-star long are the hardest level. You know, they're the hardest levels to complete the cross country. And you got to trot up the next day. And the fact that we've gotten every horse through the finish line and through the second trot up and going home a happy horse. I think that's class in our entire career. I mean, that is now since 2000, that's 15 seasons together. So to do that, so I'm sure my first 4-star long or 5-star long this year is not going to go to plan.
Don't say it, Sam.
But I'm not. Don't worry. I'm not suspicious. I'm not really this grand. No.
Sparks and I were kind of looking at each other through Sam saying that, being like, "Don't say words, Sam."
No, I'm
Don't say them out loud."
so cold and analytical. I don't.
Sparks, take us back to Tryon from your perspective, and actually the uncertainty around the conditions and how that sort of impacted your management during the week, because there was a lot of talk around storms in Tryon.
Yeah, it was actually quite scary, the proper talk of the storms out there. It was, yeah, wasn't it? It was a proper a proper warning, and nobody sort of knew what to expect, and we were all sort of told what we should do and what we shouldn't do, and and you're worried about your horse, and it's something that we obviously don't know how to deal with. It's something we've never dealt with before, so we just really, if I'm being honest, we just sort of had to go with the flow, whatever we were instructed to do, or whatever they thought was best for us to do with our horses. And some people wanted to stay with the horses, and people said don't stay with the horses. So it was it was quite frightening. It was quite frightening, but the
whole place flooded. Like
yeah.
it started on the evening of cross country, and so like the endurance event had been, and the cross country had just finished. Now, if that
had come 24 hours earlier.
Oh, if it had come 12 hours earlier, there was no eventing. Just would have to be cancelled because the cross country course wouldn't survive. I mean, there was talk of, because the whole Tryon Hill thing, it was man-made and stuff like that. So there was sort of fears that was just going to like collapse and cascade, and a whole hill was just going to disappear. No proper biblical rain. And then it changes your whole routine, and and actually what was interesting was I want to say, like, it's kind of almost a 12-hour window between finishing cross country, that evening, cross country evening. There's a good bit of rest involved in that recovery period as well, but it's always a later night, and it's definitely always an early morning then to get through the trot up. And then you're into the show jumping, and you're show jumping in the morning, and it's this one flow in this one period. And actually, if you were to track spot, like, I would say you would average maybe like 4 hours sleep on a night like that, if you're lucky, because you got to, we put the horse to bed, but then we've got to go and try and eat something ourselves, get back to whatever, and we weren't on site, so we, driving home, trying to get a night's sleep coming in. But then when the horses had an extra day, so they then postponed, we trotted up on the Sunday morning. So we trotted up in that rain. Those clothes will never be worn again.
When you trotted up in that rain, am I right in saying that obviously the Irish team were in a great position going into the jumping? Yeah. But am I right in saying that at one point both yourself and Sarah Ennis were in the whole box?
Yeah. Horseware Center Rebound and Horseware Art of Highlight were in the we're in the whole box.
Talk us through that moment when you hear those words and the whole box, because he actually, if again from memory serving us, he was fine, wasn't he?
He was fine, but it doesn't make you feel any better.
Because you're putting your trust now in the vet and the whole box and the ground jury. You've got to be represented. Like, what is that like?
Horrendous.
Is that worse?
Horrendous.
Tell me, is that worse than the 8 or 9 minutes that you don't watch out in the cross country?
Oh no.
Okay.
No, because Marcus Swell, he unbelievable. He just never panics. He is so calm. He was just amazing. And so I always, I don't know how many championships we did with Marcus, but I just always felt, oh, Marcus is here, everything will be fine. Like, he just gave you such confidence, and he was just brilliant with people and horses. So he could always sort of charm his way through most things. He was utterly brilliant. Yeah. So you feel better.
What was Tron like then? The final day, you've sort of changed your routine. You've got through that kind of day that wasn't a competition day. You've done your trot up. You've all sort of made it through the storm. Show jumping comes around. Hasn't always been the happiest of hunting grounds. We talked about that roller coaster already. What was that final day in Tron like for you, Sparks?
Oh, surreal, really, to be honest. Yeah, it was. I knew Ben could. I knew they could both do it, but it's just waiting for that moment. It's just yeah, just
it was
yeah.
the horses that all went on that team had, like, Porg had been in the top 10 at Badminton with Mr. Chunky, Sarah being in the top 10 at the Europeans with Stellar Rebound. Myself and Cahill had both been in the top 10 at Lamulin that season. And show jumping had obviously been tough for me at World Championships and before then. And actually Ben, the highlight, was difficult because he had a terrible right drift through his shoulder. So we got to the World Champion. He went from what is now a 2-star short level, kind of junior level, back, and actually I think he'd done a 100 just before I got him. I think he was kind of just doing 100s, and 18 months later he was at a World Championship. So he went on the fast road, and he was incredible cross country. It wasn't the easiest to show jump, but like, confidence is a fascinating thing, because we just had a plan. And actually I have to credit Ian Fearon. He was our jumping trainer, and I've been kind of through a whole cycle with him, and you just have a plan and you have a process. And that was the first time that I think I was old enough to be in that place where you can actually feel what it is to trust the process, and just be like, I'm just going in a jump around. And it's not like, it wasn't for a medal. You're not looking at this, in the past I would have been analyzing it in a way of going, okay, well, how many fences do we have in hand? What about the French? What about thinking about all those things that aren't in your control? Whereas from before we left the UK, which is where we had our training camp, and this was backed by EquiRatings, who, like, the Irish team were using this at the time, but you have all this evidence that just says, if you guys just do what you do, because the form had been that good, and this was a brilliant place for Ireland to be in. But if you do what you've been doing, then 3 teams are going to have to perform exceptionally well to beat you to the podium. And that was all it was. So we just had to do what we were doing. So I actually enjoyed that, even the last day. And, like, Marcus had been to all those World Championships with me, and he said to me about 6 months later, he was like, I don't know how he was like, I was looking at you on that Monday morning, being like, how is this man not, like, how is he able to go in there and jump that horse around that course under that pressure? But I just didn't. You don't. That was the first time I thought about it.
How difficult do you find it in terms of switching off that analytical part of your brain? Because you are a very analytical person. You're very good at maths, which means that you can look at numbers and automatically kind of see how many fences you might have in hand, or how many time penalties or seconds. Like, it kind of jumps out at you. So how much does sort of analytical Sam have to balance off Sam, the athlete, at this stage?
Yeah, well, what I'm trying to get better at all the time is, like, when I wake up in the morning, for the first half an hour, I'm a dad. Like, Toby will give me the fantasy football update or whatever, and then when I'm riding horses, I'm riding, when I'm riding, I'm more of a trainer rather than I'm the coach. I'm trying to listen to the horses. You're problem solving as a coach, going, like, what does this horse need at this moment? you know, and so for Ben, it was always going to be straightness. And I was thinking about the straight. So I've distanced myself. So the key really is I'm definitely not thinking about the result of the competition, because 99% of the result actually depends on how everyone else performs. I've won competitions because a lot of other people have done badly. And that's not how I want to win. I want to win, like, probably still to this day, one of my proudest wins is Hopeton, my first 4-star win. William Fox Pitt had 3 horses there. Ruth Edge led on 2-time, I think, who was one of the best dressage horses in the sport. And we were up there and close, and then we passed them. And that's the way you want to, but the wins will happen when you perform and you do your job. And then to perform, you're not hoping you do your best. You're going, okay, is it the right shoulder? Is it the outside rein? Is it the inside? Do I have to keep myself square in the saddle and not tip down? You're just, that's what you're analyzing. So I'm still being analytical. The only time actually, and strangely enough, it was Tryon. And I have to say a little bit around Pertonia on Talisman as well, where everything was so in the comfort zone, and literally you're schooling and you're going, okay, this is great because this is what it should feel like. I'm just schooling around a cross-country course. But the thought around Tryon was definitely entry. And I was laughing. I was literally smiling and at times laughing to myself, being like, this shouldn't be this easy. Like, there's a world championships around this. And this is nothing to do with me, folks. This is to do with Arda Highlight. He was incredible. He would just, you couldn't make him miss a fence. Like, I'd say if I started there was a skinny in front of him and I pulled the left rein or something, wanting to not do, I don't think he'd let me. And he had this right shoulder drift. I remember there was one fence we had to jump, bit of a drop and a turn behind it and off a left turn, and he went out through the right shoulder, and I literally saw this skinny 2 strides later disappearing way off our line, and oh my god. And that's the moment when, as a rider, we shouldn't be going here, but he couldn't help himself. This right drift, it was kind of ingrained in him. We tried many things, but but trying to control that right shoulder was difficult. And he had to, like, his footprints would have been a foot outside of the skinny to the right. So he had to jump back in to go through the flags. So, like, you talk about horses running out. This horse had to run in to jump the fence. So he had he literally had to do that effort. And that was very enjoyable. Those 11 minutes of Tryon were very, very enjoyable. I wish you'd watched it, Sparks. It was great.
I did afterwards.
Enjoyed it afterwards. From all of the championships you have been to, is there one that stands out for you both as to the most special or the most enjoyable?
Oh, well, I'd say this one is easy enough. Like, it is. Well, for me, what was the most special thing about Tryon was when I came. Sally kind of surprised us with this. She didn't tell anyone. We flew through the night. Like, the flights back from the US are through the night. I can't remember what you call that. Anyway, but
Red Eye. Is it Red Eye?
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so we're pretty exhausted getting off the plane at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m, whatever it was. And there was a pretty big reception of people waiting to greet us. But to the right are 2 kids. And we've been away for, it's a good deal of time. I mean, Tokyo was the worst because we had quarantine and Aachen and then a long time out. So we were away from the kids for nearly a month before Tokyo. But for Tryon, we'd have been away from the kids for, I'd say, 2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks, yeah.
And they were there. And as well, what was kind of special, Mum and Dad had brought them up, and Dad had won the silver medal in 1978. And so you had the 3 generations and loads of Irish fans, all the eventing supporters cheering. So, like, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, special it was.
How tough is the family juggle? Because you're both kind of in it together. Like, have you found a system that works? Does it get easier? Does it get harder?
Oh, I don't.
You'll have to,
the kids are amazing. The kids are amazing. Like, they're so level. They're just so easy, aren't they? They just fit in with it. They have, ever since the day they were born, they've had to fit in with this crazy mad life that we lead, and they don't know anything. They don't know any different. but they are just so great at entertaining themselves, and then they're so happy when they see you, and
it's been normal for them. Like it has been normal for them. Like I mean, Archie was 2 days old when he was dragged off to campfire. So you know, it's just literally normal, and I think it's great. Like I could listen back to this podcast in 10 years time, and the kids will listen back to it in 10 or 15 years time, and they'll be like, oh my god, he didn't realize what he was, but on it, like I think it's been great because and firstly, grandparents like Mandy, Juju, they are amazing because they drop everything to come in. And I think that must be daunting as well, particularly when they were younger, you know, particularly when they were a bit, as I say, like Malmo
babies.
I mean, we did we had Archie in 2013, so then in 2014, and I mean, we have our kids in July, middle of July, 19th and 20th. We're very regular with our birthing.
You don't have to worry about the old remembering birthdays.
Yeah, no, I don't have to remember about that, but it does mean we had newborns in the middle of the season, and we did the championships in 13 when we had won, 14 when we had a yearling and a new foal on the ground. We did 2015, you know, so they were young and small, and people had to come in and step in. So at that point, you see, they don't actually, and I think it's been healthy. And I think we're actually quite lucky, because I think it's been harder for people probably in COVID. I think the opposite could actually be harder sometimes. Is that real attachment. And actually we had to sort of break the umbilical cord, and because it's, you know, this is the job, this is what mum and dad do. And then we love it, and we love getting back as well to them. You know, I think that's not every you know, there's only, of the 10 championships, there's only been one with a medal reception at the end of it, you know, so the other ones have been tough, but then it's all, when you get to go back to your kids, you kind of remember the most important things in life as well, which is great.
What next in terms of championship stories? You've been to Olympics, Worlds, Europeans. Is there anything that you still really want to tick off the list?
You go first, Sparks.
Oh god,
3 10s for the medium trot, Sparks. This year.
Oh, I don't know. It's exhausting thinking about what we've done. Actually, you just don't really think about it until you do something like this, and you think, oh god, we really did all that, did we? I don't know. Like, of course you have to plan, but you just have to take one day at a time as well. I think if you have too many plans, hopes, dreams, this, you're doing that, it all changes. So I'm very level about things like this.
I think it's been, the last couple of years have been harder, and we kind of took the Europeans call up with Talisman as a you know, that we're like, God, this isn't the championship horse. How is he going to get? And then it was like, got the call for Bertoni as well. It's been hard, not because the highlight was he's you know, he's one of the best horses I've sat on. But I would have 2 younger ones now. I have 2 6-year-olds at the moment who'll be 10 in LA, but I wouldn't be, you know, we'll be winding down. But it's great fun. It's the journey. Like it's just such good.
It's the journey that we love, isn't it? The everyday looking forward to something, whether it's an Olympics or a pre-novice or.
And that's what I genuinely struggle with this in terms of, because I could definitely retire now. You know, I don't need to. You know, there's nothing to prove, and nor should there be. I think for any young person listening to this, or any young couple listening to this and thinking, you know, oh god, 10 championships. I mean, if you're a British rider, you know, trying to get on 10 teams, that is so hard. You know, I don't think, you know, Piggy March hasn't been to the Olympic Games yet, I don't think, and she's probably the rider I look up to in the sport in terms of being a talent. So don't ever feel that you have to do things to prove them. We've just been really, really lucky to have these adventures together. And that's the thing I feel on every level I could hang up my boots and I could stop, except the fun of us going off to championships. That's what it is. And actually nearly some of the championships are tough when you've got like when you got that, because you have to distance yourself from you have to surrender a little bit of control, which I think we're good at. Again, temperament wise, I think we have been very good at that. The badminton and Burleys, with the history, with them even being quite close with us and our lorry, our journey, the two, but those are great fun. Those are really, really special too.
I was going to say, how do they compare? Because we had a great example of Burley last year, which was first kind of big B for a little while. And actually, the two of you, I think we spoke kind of just as you were heading off out the yard. And Sam, you'd just realised you'd forgotten all of your fancy shoes and clothes.
Oh, yeah.
The two of you, it was like you were going off to Disneyland. There was so much joy and pleasure and excitement and anticipation. How different are they to the championships?
It is. That's us doing our thing, like it really is. You can prepare how you want to prepare and all that kind of stuff. But I like them both different. I love the responsibility of the team. I like to be able to, like I've kind of had this role of being the first out, the pathfinder for the last good few championships, really, like the last two Worlds, the Olympics. I think even the Europeans with Talisman, like Talisman, a complete rookie.
Yeah.
And he did a great job, and for a rookie horse, who had only just left Ireland for the first time in his life, 10 days beforehand, to storm around that Europeans course. And Mike Yesa built a decent enough test. That's a different challenge for me, like that's a real, the team element. I think that's classic. If you talk to anyone in sport, what high performance sport is about, like the mental challenge as well as the skill challenge, and plus the team aspect, representing your country. It ticks all those boxes and it's a real challenge, but it's a little bit more draining. Every one of them it's nice because it has the Sam and Sparks romantic subplot as well. We still get to go home in the evenings and be husband and wife. It's lovely, even at the championships. But the events by ourselves, I think they're very special. Like that's real fun. Like that's just us. That's just us in our own little world, having great fun.
I have to ask, Sparks, because once, couple of times a year, perhaps you get the chance to don your own eventing boots. Quite a lot of success, listeners. Okay, Emma Watson pulls out some scores that Sam Watson could only dream of. Sam's grooming skills in return?
Non-existent.
Okay.
Really. No.
No, she is the multi. So I mean, God, some events, Sparks, like I could have. We've definitely done events where I've ridden 3 and you've ridden 1.
4. You've had.
Have I done 4? We've done 5. Yeah. So
I'm always late for my dressage. I'm always nearly missing my show jumping because I'm running around after.
If she only does a 16, so she's still got she did like a 12.3 dressage or something. So if I sometimes purposely make her late because it's just too embarrassing. If she keeps doing 12s and 16 dressages, she's like, ruin that. I only got a 2-minute warm up. I just did a 23. Disaster. She's a really smart. I mean, having, I guess, 6 years with Pippa Funnel will do it. But I mean,
I get to ride nice horses though. What Ben at Ensign. Okay, I'm lucky. I'm spoiled.
Yeah, but it's great. It's great. It's a massive tool, like to have, like, because I'm away. Like I said, I'm away in Sweden now for 4 or 5 days. No, you're a really talented rider. So competitive as well. Like I might be quite laid back. Like I'm going around Tryon, kind of smiling to myself, going, "Oh, this feels great. This feels like great fun." Schooling a horse around the thing. She goes around a 100, running people over. Like honestly, don't walk the course when she's running. She'll run you over, overtaking, It's dangerous. She deserves yellow cards. I mean, she is just trying to win. We don't have time penalties going too fast in this country.
Okay.
When she's on course, I think there should be, because it's just like I'm finishing on my dressage score. It's great. It's I love seeing it, and I love actually Sparks's passion for the get like that. I love seeing that. I get nervous though as well. Actually, it goes both ways. Yeah, no, I'm a right little nervous thing.
Can you watch it all, Sam? Or
Yeah, you do.
I watch because
he has to help me. He does help you.
I was going to say, would you trade? So my one of my last questions actually is going to be that dynamic between obviously working together, being married, but then that element of kind of training and analysis from the floor. Because Sparks, I'm sure you've seen Sam work with lots and lots of different trainers. You're obviously very knowledgeable. Is there a line? Do you share it, Sam? Do you kind of ask for input, or is that kind of an unspoken agreement? How does that work?
Changes
Okay.
and square halts. That I'm very happy doing those changes. Yeah. Is it a clean change and is it a square halt? That's grand. But then, you know, like Tracy Robinson, who's amazing on the flat, like she is absolutely incredible. And to be honest, I don't like stepping over that line of doing everything. I don't want to be his trainer as well. I'll help with the changes and I'll help with the halts and I'll put fences up. And if you ask me something, but yeah, I wouldn't really want to go down that. He helps me. I mean, he is brilliant, but no, I'm happy letting Tracy take over on that one.
Yeah, well, I think that's fair as well. Like, I think that's where, because so I coach plenty. You know, I coach 2-3 sessions every night during the week, so I'm doing at least minimum 10 hours coaching a week. So me helping Sparks, like, I'm used to, you know, that's fine, and that's part of my job, and that's like her looking after my horses, and I think that works quite well. But I think the other way around would be, and I sometimes, like, if I'm struck, you know, when you're in that place when you want things to be better than they are, like, I think that's where you have to, that's not Sparks's responsibility to make me a better technician. I mean, that's a tough ask for anybody. Tracy comes over here and she does 2 nights. So she'll come over and then she'll stay the night and she'll do the next morning.
2 days, won't she? Yeah.
And she only taught me on about 4 horses last time, I think. So there was a good night. It wasn't like a late night and an early morning. It was kind of like a respectable evening finish and a respectable morning start. So I was like, "Did you have a good night's sleep?" She's like, "No, I hardly slept at all. I was thinking about how we're going to get this horse going better." So it's hard work, but no, I don't know how it stays so frictionless, to be honest. I think the respect and admiration that I have for Sparks, you know, like, obviously the love as a person always comes first, but genuine, like, I've just never seen it in anybody else, in any other. And I know I'm always saying it when she's not here, so it's nice to say it when she is beside me. But the dedication, as well as the skill and the expertise, because I know everyone wants to be kind of gifted at their job, and, you know, okay, her ability to read horses and all that kind of stuff, like that kind of instinctive ability is there, but the dedication and the passion, like, it is so inspiring. It's an absolute privilege to work with this person.
Oh, thanks, Ange.
And to be married to her.
Oh, guys, on that note, I think we just leave it there. Look, we could quiz you both on many, many, many championship stories. Thank you for giving us an insight into what the journey has been like, into your marriage. I think there'll be listeners everywhere swooning, going, "We want to be like Sam and Sparks." So the championships, we just want to be like you guys. But thank you for giving us such a candid insight. And here is to, hopefully, many, many, many more happy road trips, memories at the big ones, whether they be championships, 5 stars, Mill Street, whatever it may be. Enjoy it. And thank you for sharing it with us.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thanks, Nicole.
Listeners, I hope you enjoyed that Connolly's Red Mills special as much as I did. We teased an Olympic show coming for you. There is the first of those, supported by Connolly's Red Mills, coming your way very soon. You will not want to miss it. Sydney is the first show that we will be doing a deep dive into, so stay tuned for that. Lots of very special guests. I'm going to go and twist Sparks' arm before we hang up this recording, see if we can get her back for Athens. But we'll be back very, very soon with more. Thanks for listening.